How's it going, guys? I made a video a couple days ago and I decided to take it down because it was a bit of a downer. So I just wanted to state once again that I am going to take a break posting these videos because I simply ran out of material. I've said everything I wanted to say, and until I have new ideas, I will simply take a break. So I would like to thank my subscribers. I'm not making any money out of this. There's no monetization in these videos, but it's good that I feel what he said. It feels good that I helped some people figure out some things about musical gear, or learn some songs, or we all learn and we all kind of I can't tell you how many videos I've seen and how much those videos helped me grow as a musician. So I don't have a whole ton of subscribers. I don't make any money off of this. It gives me kind of satisfaction to give back to the musical community and the non-musical community, because my videos are kind of mixed, musical, self-help, gear review, and other non-music related things. So anyway, I'm going to take a break, but before I take the said break, I would like to talk about two topics. Number one, for musicians, what do I advise you to know? Like, what do you need to know to be a non-classical musician? And the second topic is technology, and how much technology can help us or kind of remove our creativity. So I made a video several months ago about the difference between classical musicians and non-classical musicians. It basically got a bunch of downvotes. Sorry. But it needs to be said, there have been a lot of successful musicians, I'm not saying talented, successful musicians who have absolutely no idea about musical theory or musical notation or how to read music, how to write music, key signatures, none of that. For example, let's take a look at all these beat makers. They just take a keyboard, they punch in some beats, and then they take one finger, their index finger, and they play some kind of a bass line, some other sound effects, and that video gets millions of views. DJ Khaled! This guy, for example, do you think he understands musical theory, musical notation? Hell no. There are a lot of rock musicians who were just self-taught, or they had a very good ear. They just absorbed the whole thing. And I'm telling you, take a classically trained, conservatory trained musician with a master's PhD in music and pin that musician up against somebody like Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix will run circles around those classically trained musicians. And the point is that musical notation is great. I think it's a very important skill to know how to read and write music. And I do both. I play classical and non-classical. And I can't just show up to a rehearsal with the orchestra and just like fake it and use my ear. I need to read the actual notation. But with me, if I'm playing non-classical music, there's like a switch in my brain. I just like switch it off, and I start using my ears more. But you can't just expect to be completely musically illiterate and just start playing rock music. So, in terms of knowledge, you need to not necessarily know the key signatures or the sharps and the flats. You need to know the shapes of the chords. You need to know what a major chord sounds like, what a minor chord sounds like, what a seventh chord sounds like, what a diminished chord perhaps sounds like, maybe a sixth chord. And when it comes to guitar, it's all movable. So once you know one shape, you can just move it up and down the neck. Same thing for bass. And here's a funny story. When I started playing bass, I wasn't really a bassist until about 7 years ago. But when I first picked up the bass, I borrowed it from my high school. I had absolutely no idea how to approach it. It's only 4 strings, but then what do you do? And then I just started listening to songs. And I started hearing the notes. It's like you play a note and you can play it a fourth lower. You can get this like polka kind of dum 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 dum. It's like, huh. And the first song that I learned on bass was One Way or Another by Blondie. And nobody showed me how to play that song, but I just played it on the stereo and I just kind of like deliberately tried to listen to the bass part. And then until I nailed it, it's like, so it's the same fret and you're just like playing on the A string and on the E string. So it's I can tell you when I'm playing like non-classical music with my cover band or with this other famous Russian act, I don't think notes, honestly. I just think shapes and fret numbers, honest to God. And the same thing is what goes through my mind if I'm like improvising. I'm not a jazz trumpet player, for example. I'm not a jazz violinist or whatever. But when I'm taking a solo, I just remove like this theory from my playing, and I just start kind of. I mean, I gotta understand the key signature, and then once I understand the key signature, it's just like colors and like how many half steps it is. It's really interesting, like the way your brain kind of processes improvisation or just different types of music. So the point is, don't be a snob. If you're a classical musician, don't look down on non-classical musicians. And chances are non-classical musicians or classical musicians that have that mindset of, I'm not just going to read like a robot whatever is written on paper, those musicians are more creative. And the analogy that I like to use is that you can teach almost anyone how to read text in French, how certain letters kind of combine, what sounds they make. But you give them text and they recreate that text, but they have absolutely no idea what the hell they just said. So the same way with classical musicians or snobby musicians who just are very good at sight reading or just recreating what's on paper. They have no idea what scale it is, what mode it is. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's a great skill. It certainly helps. It's better to know how to read music than not. I've been in so many situations, even like in the non-classical kind of world, where somebody wants me to play something consistently, and then I will definitely write it down as musical notation. But that's what I'm trying to say. So, as a starting guitarist or starting bassist, you don't need to know how to read music, but you need to know the theory. You need to know how. I would say that piano is probably the foundational instrument of all instruments. It's probably the most helpful thing to know is how to play the piano, where the notes are located. And actually, contrary to what you may think, it's all very kind of symmetrical. Just like on the guitar, when you know how to play one chord, you can just move it up or down. With piano, it's almost the same thing. That's how it feels to me, anyway. And just remember, the most famous musicians of our lifetime, all your Jimi Hendrixes, all your Jimmy Pages, all your Jimmys. There have been even a bunch of jazz musicians who had no idea how to read or write music. But it's just the ears. It's the knowing what you want to sound like. It's just the sort of ability to just be musical. And you can't get that from just being able to read or write music. So that's it for that topic. The second topic is technology. I feel that technology has gone a long way, but advances in technology, to me, it feels like the creativity is taking the absolutely. It's like technology goes up, creativity goes down. Why is that? The musical kind of recording technology. Look at the 1950s, 1960s. They had a 4-track recorder. 4 tracks only. Then it was 8 tracks. Then it was 16 tracks. And now we have an unlimited number of tracks. And also you can just perfect the pitch. You can tune everything. You can quantize everything. But has the music quality gone up? Nope. Go back to 1971. Just like the top 10 charts from 1971. The number of songs from that year, 1971, that are still played on the radio, it's just mind-blowing. As opposed to all these forgettable things we have today. Even the movies. People used to splice up the film with, not scissors, but they would cut the film, splice it together. There would be no room for error. Or even like photography. Take photography for an example. Has digital photography improved, like those photographs, like the construction workers eating lunch on like the frame of a new skyscraper? You don't have that stuff today. Technology, creativity. It's inexplicable, but that's just a fact. So anyway, without rambling much further, I would like to sincerely thank you all for watching my videos. And I'll be back. If you have any questions, I will certainly reply. And good luck on your journey, without any sort of sarcasm. I've been there. I was lost. I was confused, but here I am. Thank you.